So how do you narrow down a composition? When you're sitting down to draw, what does that look like? Something I tend to do is thumbnail or roughly sketch out ideas for my composition. You can go overkill with how many thumbnails you come up with, but in general, getting a few different ideas down ultimately gives me the best result. After I have that thumbnail, I go ahead and blow it up. If I'm using a digital tablet like my iPad, like I am in this case with Procreate, I scale it up and I go ahead and lower the opacity on that layer, and I create a new layer on top and I start sketching. And with this sketch, I call it a rough sketch. I'm putting down place markers and thinking about the overall line thickness and kind of the next level details, not refined, not final details, but just giving myself a rough idea of what this image is going to look like by the time I'm finished. It's still in a rough pass stage before I begin painting, but overall it's really helpful to get this in before I start laying in any kind of color. So thinking about the overall composition, I'm trying to remember rule of thirds. I'm trying to remember, placement of where I want you to look, things that are angling toward that direction. And you don't have to be 100% accurate on that. As you can see from this particular image, I'm not exactly in that three or thirds portions placement of things, but I still feel like the composition works. And then I will use background effects later on, different colors and things, to help break up the composition so it doesn't feel so off-sided. So then I start laying in color, thinking about value and tone rather than just bold basic colors. So I put in some very light teal gray and some dark gray along with some red. Once I get some of that fleshed in, I find it's really helpful for me to lay in the background. So I'll put the background on a different layer than I do for the painting, and the painting on a different layer than the sketch. So you want to use layers to your advantage, stacking them and making it so that if you make a mistake, you can easily either alter a layer or delete the layer if need be. And once I start laying in that background color, I can get a greater sense of what the lighting of the scene is going to look like. And so I start adding more details to the surrounding elements like the trunk of the tree, just lightly brushing them in, trying out different brushes, seeing what works. In this case, I'm using Max Ulichny's Max Packs. This is his painter's pack. So I'm putting in a lot of detail here with the overall shape and flow of the woodpecker's feathers on his back, the black area. Trying to remember, what direction those feathers are angled. After I finish that, I start making some adjustments to the beak and to the eye, back over to the tree, giving that some detail, and then I'll be putting some more detail back on the bird's face. And the final result here is going to be something that isn't a fully completed painting, but it's like the rough painting. And in my next video, I'll show you my thoughts on how I take it to a refined and completed stage. For now, this is just a rough pass and thinking about composition and how do I get from that rough sketch to something painted. Thanks for being here, and I will catch you in the next one.